She laughed when she signed the papers. Laughed right there in court like the whole thing was a joke I hadn't been letting on, like she just delivered the punchline to a private comedy routine. I didn't say a word. I just watched her lean back in her chair, flash that self-satisfied smile at her lawyer, as if they'd just secured some grand prize, then twirl the pen between her fingers before sliding across the table with a flourish. I remember thinking, asterisk, you're laughing now. Just wait, asterisk. Because 10 minutes later, when the judge began reading my financial disclosures aloud, my company shares, the silent overseas investments, the foreign property portfolio she'd never even known existed, her face dropped. The laughter died before it could finish its breath. She looked like someone who had just realized they had bet on the wrong horse, right as the race was ending. I met Rana 10 years ago. She was brilliance and fire, magnetic in a way that turned heads when she entered a room. She had this effortless charm, a laugh that made people lean in, a kind of reckless energy that made everything around her feel alive. I was the opposite, methodical, quiet, steady. Where I saw a risk, she saw an opportunity for adventure. Where she craved novelty, I saw stability. It worked for a while, maybe even beautifully in the beginning. I was building my company from nothing, grinding in the shadows, eating rejection, staying up late to chase contracts, working weekends no one saw. She floated between freelance gigs, trying to find herself, never quite landing, but always moving. I never judged her. Not once. I carried the bills, helped fund the launch of her art studio, paid off her college debt, without her even asking. I believe that's what love did. Showed up, carried weight, made things easier where it could. But over the years, the quiet between us got louder. She began looking at me like I was a dull businessman with no soul. Just spreadsheets and routines and safe choices. Her friends started calling me the spreadsheet husband. A joke. I laughed with them. But inside, it burned. 3 years ago, she sat across from me at our kitchen table, looked me straight in the eye, and asked if we could separate our finances. Just for her freedom. She said, "It's not about distrust. I just want to feel like I can stand on my own 2 feet." I wanted to believe her, so I said yes. We signed a postnup. She got the studio, I kept the business. Everything else stayed 50-50. It felt fair. It felt like trust. But it didn't stop there. She kept drifting further, emotionally this time. She traveled more, started going to events alone. I found out later she was telling people we were basically separated, even though she still came home to our bed. There were moments, small shifts, gut feelings that twisted my stomach, told me something wasn't right, but I silenced them because I loved her, because I still believed in us. Then, earlier this year, I found what I had wanted to see. Not a smoking gun in the form of a stranger in our bed. No, it was worse in a way. I found the emails, messages, notes to a man she'd met at a yoga retreat. They were filled with confessions, jokes, long paragraphs of emotional intimacy, her dreams of the future, her comparisons of him and me. She called me the past. Called him where her soul feels free. I confronted her. She didn't even try to deny it. She looked at me calmly and said, "You always knew we weren't right for each other. Don't pretend you didn't feel it too." No apology, no shame, just that strange, righteous detachment, like she just done me a favor by finally being honest. A week later, I was served divorce papers. When word got out, it wasn't her who got the scrutiny. It was me. Mutual friends assumed the narrative. The cold husband, the emotionally absent breadwinner. Her family whispered that I'd worked too much, loved too little. I didn't correct them. I didn't beg her to stay. I didn't chase her. Instead, I hired a lawyer, not a vicious one, but sharp, ethical, focused. My only goal was to protect what was mine. I'd always kept my financials clean and separate. My company was under an S Corp in my name alone. The post-nup was solid, airtight. She thought she was entitled to half of everything. She wasn't. I made sure every document was disclosed properly. No games, no secrets, just clear legal transparency. That day in court, she laughed because she thought she played the system. that she'd walk away with a new man, a fat settlement, and a clean conscience. But when the judge read out the net worth, the total assets, the investments, the real numbers, her entire body shifted. Over 8 figures. Enough to make people sit straighter in their chairs. Her lawyer blinked at the papers, then at her. She looked at me as if seeing me for the first time, and not liking what she saw. She left the courtroom with her studio, her savings, and a small settlement that barely touched 3% of what I actually owned. I didn't fight her on it. I didn't try to cut it down. I gave it freely, legally, generously by any standard. We haven't spoken since. Some of her friends, those who once mocked me, blocked me, believed her, have begun reaching out again, awkwardly, like nothing happened. I ignore the messages. 2 weeks ago, her sister sent me a long text. Said Rana was struggling. Said she regretted how things had played out. I stared at it for a long time. Never replied. This was never about revenge. I don't hate her. I just don't trust her anymore. And trust, once it's shattered, doesn't get put back together with apologies. Especially not from someone who locked the door behind them the moment I needed it to stay open. 3 days ago, she emailed me. The subject line was just, I was wrong. I didn't open it. I saw the preview in my inbox. The first line read, "You were the one person who always showed up for me, and I couldn't see it until now." Maybe she meant it. Maybe she didn't. But it doesn't matter anymore. Sometimes people laugh because they think they've won. Sometimes silence is the only real answer you can give when they finally see the truth too late. I'm not angry. I'm just done. And in that final stillness, there is peace, even if it hurts.